With that, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Chairman Bray is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is present. Commissioner Keys is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Commissioner Walters is present. Commissioner Kish is absent. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With that, I'll take a motion to excuse Commissioner Kish from tonight's meeting, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we excuse Commissioner Kish from tonight's meeting.
Second.
Second.
Is there moved by Commissioner Barnes, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to excuse Commissioner Kish? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4, these are the minutes, approved draft minutes from, we have to think back a little bit. It's February 14th, 2018. Those were provided in your packet, also available online. Do I have a motion for those minutes?
Motion to approve minutes from the February 14th meeting.
Is there a second?
Aye.
It has been moved by Commissioner Keys, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the minutes from February 14, 2018. Is there any discussion? Nope. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, item number 5 is a public comment. At this time, we open it up to any citizens that would like to address the Planning and Zoning Committee on any non-agenda items. These are non-agenda items. Are there any speaker cards, Madam Secretary, for this?
No, there is not.
Any non-agenda items, a request? Thank you. Item number 6 is disclosure of ex parte communications from the commissioners. Is there any?
No.
We have no old business at this time. We're going to jump right into new business. And I am actually going to use the prerogative of the chair, unless there's any objection from my fellow commissioners. I would actually like to go down into 8.2 first, and then go with 8.3, and then wrap up with 8.1, because I understand that there is some folks here and may deserve a little bit more time and discussion, and I feel that 8.2 and 8.3 will move rather quickly. So if that's okay, I'd like to do that. With that, we'll start with agenda item 8.2. This is the Crestwood at Canyon Trails preliminary plat. And Karen, you are up.
This is the subject property. It's just off the northwest corner of Cotton and Yuma. 173rd Avenue does exist on the west side of the property, and it goes down to Yuma Road. Lilac exists on the north side of the property and goes to Cotton Lane, where it transitions into West Canyon Trails Boulevard. So this really is an infill parcel. All of the development, the residential development that you see is part of Canyon Trails. And they're simply filling out the residential development. Right on Yuma is a commercial parcel, but that's also part of Canyon Trails. It will be 90 single-family lots on 24 acres, and they will be a minimum of 50 feet wide by 95 feet deep. And Tract A, right in the center, oh, there we are. No, I'm not. Tract H right in the center will be their recreation and open space parcel. And that will be approximately 18% of the site will be involved in recreation and open space for the residents. There will be ramadas and picnic tables and benches and barbecues and a whole lot of turf area in there for all sorts of activities to take place. This is an attachment that was provided from their noise study. And based on the adjacency of the property to the 303, the future 303, they were required to do a noise study. And per the noise study, if Crestwood pulls a building permit before ADOT's noise study is completed, then ADOT will build those green walls that you see there, and they will be between 12 and 14 and 12 and 16 feet high to protect the residents, to lessen the impact of the noise from the freeway upon the residents. And then Crestwood themselves would build the walls shown right around the perimeter of their development in red, which will be 8 feet high, and then the yellow walls that will be 6 feet high. Now, if Crestwood doesn't pull a building permit before ADOT completes their noise study, then Crestwood needs to submit another noise study of their own to the city, and we will determine what needs to be built for the future State Road 303. And it could very well be that Crestwood themselves would have to build the higher walls right around their property. But it's all connected with the issuance of building permits for Crestwood. If ADOT's doing a study and they can see, yes, there are homes being built there on that property, then ADOT puts in the walls. But if when it's time for ADOT's study to be finalized and there are no homes being built on this property yet, then this property is responsible for constructing the walls. And our engineering director, Rebecca Zook, is here to explain it far better than I just did if you have any questions. And the preliminary plat itself, it's compatible with the area. As I said, it really is an infill parcel. It's consistent with all our subdivision regulations. And we are recommending approval, and we ask that the commission recommend approval to the city council.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any questions for staff at this point in time? None? Would the applicant, or does the applicant wish to address the commission? All right, makes it easy. With that, I will take a motion on Crestwood Canyon Trails plat.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 17500000013.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Barnes, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the Crestwood Canyon Trails preliminary plat. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Move into item 8.3. This is Aldi at Estrella Commons. Katie will be presenting on this one. And with that, I'll open the public hearing for this item.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Commission. The item before you is a rezoning to facilitate the development of an Aldi grocery store. The subject property is located on Estrella Parkway and Roosevelt, which is south of Interstate 10. It's just over 3 acres. It's currently zoned preliminary planned area development, which is part of the Estrella Commons PAD, and the proposed district is the city's C2 General Commercial District. So this is a couple screenshots of the Estrella Commons PAD. That area in the red is an area known as the district, which is planned for commercial, office, and even some residential uses. It was zoned preliminary PAD. We didn't finalize all the standards in the PAD, which means that in order for the area to move forward with development, they need to either zone to final PAD or zone to some city hard zoning district. based on staff's recommendation, the applicant chose to zone to the C2 rather than finalize the PAD zoning. So again, that means the site will follow all of our C2 development standards in terms of setback, height, building intensity. It will also follow our commercial design guidelines. Again, we know there's a request for an Aldi grocery store. We do have the site plan in with the city currently, but I do want to be clear that this zoning does not tie the site plan to the development. If for some reason the Aldi grocery store fell through, it would be zoned commercial and could be developed with any general commercial use. The staff is comfortable with that and doesn't see any issues. There were no residents living in the notification area, so we used our alternative citizen review notice, which means we mailed notice to property owners but did not hold a meeting. We also gave our regular notice, posted the property, put our ad in the paper, and we have not received any questions or concerns or comments from the general public on this case. Again, development will be in compliance with the city C2 district, so staff feels very comfortable recommending approval subject to the stipulations that we provided to you. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Katie. Does
And
anybody...
I should say the applicant is here, and I believe they have a presentation as well.
Okay. Are there any questions for Katie at this time? No? All right. I guess the applicant is here. Would you like to address the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Wendy Riddell with the law firm Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback. Let me first thank you by becoming my favorite chair ever to have the foresight to reorganize the agenda. That's not something that often happens to us, so we certainly appreciate it. Really, I think staff's done a very comprehensive job explaining the application. I'm happy to continue or just answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant or wish to see any more from the applicant?
It's good.
Got off
That-
easy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any speaker cards, but is there anyone from the audience at this time that would like to address the commission on this issue? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion from one of the commissioners. Please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 18-200-00001.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Walters, seconded by Commissioner Keys to approve the LD at Estrella Commons agenda item. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. You're very welcome. Agenda item 8.1, this is the rezoning of the approved PRADERA residential development. And thank you for those of you that waited patiently. We wanted to make sure we gave adequate time to this. And so with that, I'll ask Karen to come to the podium, and I will open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the 160-acre subject property. It's located at the northwest corner of Lower Buckeye and Citrus Road. Some of the surrounding projects I think will be familiar to you in that we've brought some recent amendments to you, La Jolla Vista, Las Ventanas. There's also county parcels adjacent to it. In this whole area, in terms of Goodyear, is what we consider West Goodyear. We refer to that quite a bit. And as you know, I think there was a development agreement that covered this whole area that involved a lot of these development owners that dealt with the provision of water and sewer service to this area. The original PAD for PRADERA was approved in 2006. It had a mix of single-family detached homes. There were some 60-foot wide lots and 75-foot wide lots, as well as 114 court homes. And there was a total of 471 dwelling units. The current request is to rezone 72 acres out of that 160 from PAD to R14. And as you know, we recently created the R14 and R16 zoning districts. They will have minimum 45-foot wide lots on that 72 acres, and that's a minimum. Some of them will be bigger than that, but we're establishing the minimums. They are also rezoning 88 acres from PAD to R16, and in that area, those areas, the lot minimums will be 55 feet wide. But again, only 471 dwelling units on the property. That remains the same after the rezoning. The applicant is also proposing to utilize the allowed reduction of side yard setbacks that was incorporated into the new zoning districts that we created. And rather than going from a 5-foot side yard, they will be going from a 5-foot and a 10-foot side yard to a 5-foot and a 5-foot side yard. This is how the R14 and the R16 parcels lay out on those 160 acres now. And as you can see, there's a division between the east R16 parcel and the western R16 parcel. And that is because there is a vested, approved final plat on that property that was approved following that 2006 PAD. And it's vested pursuant to that development agreement that I talked to you about when all the property owners in this area got together to do that development agreement regarding the provision of water and sewer. One of the enhancements for them all to get together and work together on it was those who had existing approved plats, they would remain vested. And as I mentioned, and you all had a hand in it, back in 2017, we created the R14 lots and the R16 lots to provide lot size flexibility and setback flexibility that was typically found in PADs. And, generally people would request PAD approval so that they could do something different than our standard zoning district regulations. So we wanted to create zoning districts that would allow the same flexibility. However, the flexibility that comes with our zoning district has to be earned by the provision of design elements in the projects. And PRADERA will be providing amenity design elements, connectivity design elements, and streetscape design elements to earn the flexibility. And there's a stipulation in the draft ordinance that says this is what will be provided. These types of elements will be provided by PRADERA. And then when we continue working through the platting process with PRADERA, we will work out the specifics of those elements with them. But for now, their zoning entitlement ensures that they will be providing these elements. And as you know, the goals of the R14 and the R16 zoning districts was to reduce the number of PADs all over the city with different development regulations. You could have 4 different developments on an intersection that all went by different rules and regulations, and it's confusing, it's hard to administer, and so we wanted to get rid of that. And our goal is to create standards that can be used citywide and still provide flexibility to the developer, and that's what we're doing with PRADERA. They're gaining reduced lot sizes, and they are gaining the side yard setbacks, the reduced side yard setbacks. But the future residents in the city are gaining an assurance that it's going to be a high-quality project still. And as was the case with all rezonings, we had a neighborhood meeting, and the folks who attended that meeting and who are here tonight with us live in this area north of the northeast corner of the project. Durango Road is the northern border of Pradera, and the road on the east side is Citrus. But these folks all live in this area and have lived there for many years, and they attended the neighborhood meeting. And they came to the neighborhood meeting because they had a few concerns. And one was they were concerned that Durango was going to be a 4-lane roadway adjacent to their neighborhood. But it will only be 2 lanes. It will be 1 lane in each direction. They were concerned that property of theirs would be condemned in order to build Durango Road. But actually, Durango Road, the 2-lane road, will be built in 30 feet of right-of-way that will be from the Pradera property. None of that property will come from this neighborhood. They were also concerned that the canal road that's shown on the map would continue to be used as a shortcut up to Yuma. They told us stories of folks that just in a rush to get up to Yuma Road, rather than going down to Citrus and going north, cut through their neighborhood on this canal road. So they were concerned about that. And Pradera it's a RID canal road. And so Pradera is working with RID, and per approved plans is going to have that canal road gated at their southern entrance. But, RID will have access to maintain it, of course, but the locked gate will prevent this shortcut travel through their neighborhood. The residents were also concerned about removing tailwater from their farming operations as it currently gets off of their property now. They were concerned that that would be hindered through both the construction of Durango and the development of Pradera. But what is actually going to happen is, as Pradera works with RID on their own drainage and tiles some of the canals that run through their property and currently runs along the Durango alignment, that tailwater from the north will be routed into the canals that Pradera is going to work with through RID. And once again, Rebecca is here to explain all this better than I did, if you have any questions at the end of the presentation. And the applicant is here as well to talk to you about some of the commitments that they have made. The rezoning is in conformance with the general plan, and it's in conformance with the zoning ordinance. And I can tell you that when the neighbors did come to the meeting, those were the concerns they had. They did not have concerns about the zoning of the property, and I believe they will tell you that here tonight as well. So we are recommending approval of the rezoning, and we ask that the commission recommend that council approve it as well. And then one last thing, if I could, before you go on to the applicant, Katie wanted to talk to you a little bit about that plat that I had mentioned, and it's vesting.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the commission. Hopefully not to confuse things too much, but as Karen said, there is an active development agreement on this property, and that development agreement vests a final plat that has already been approved by council, but it's not yet been recorded. And in discussing with the applicant, there was some question of, does rezoning the property do anything to that development agreement and that vested right of the final plat? And we read the development agreement, looked into everything, and the answer is no, it does not. However, to document that, so that future staff knows that we've already done the research and determined it doesn't impact that final plat, and also to make sure that the applicant has that assurance that that is the determination. Between commission and council, we're going to add additional stipulation that says something along the lines of this rezoning action does not impact the approved final plat and is not intended to, change those terms of that development agreement, something along those lines. I apologize, I don't have final language for you today. It was something we were discussing just today when we realized there might be some confusion about that. So that stipulation isn't related to development. It's more of a processing internal issue, but I just wanted to let you know that so you're aware, so you're not surprised if you see we've added another stipulation between the commission meeting and city council. So if you have any concerns about that, you can let me know. Otherwise, we'll work on that language before council. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Karen or staff at this point in time?
Well, I do have one. So one of the big concerns was Durango Road, and could that ever, that's a collector street right now, right? It's not an arterial, or, yeah.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, a connector, is that the right term?
A collector, a minor collector.
It's limited to 2 lanes. I mean, there's no way that it could ever be enlarged past 2 lanes?
Not within that area. On this map, from Citrus to 180th Avenue, which is that canal road, it will be just the 2 lanes. Now, and that's primarily because, the property to the north is county property, and those are larger lots there, and it's not any part of any ongoing development. Now, when you get west of 180th Avenue and Paseo Place gets in, starts to develop, then there will be a center turn lane that's constructed in addition to the 2 lanes. So there will be a center turn lane, but that will still be constructed within the 30 feet of right-of-way. Or maybe a little more. A little bit more, sorry. But within this area, adjacent to the county residents, it will just be the 2 lanes.
So as a collector, it's probably 35-mile-an-hour street.
I would say that's fair to say, although we haven't looked at the TIA in that kind of depth to identify the speed limits.
Somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That was my only question.
Any other questions for staff at this time?
No.
I understand the applicant is here. Would the applicant like to address the commission at this time?
Maybe a presentation if the power is behind the curtain. Find it. There it is. Perfect. For your record, my name is Taylor Earl. I'm with Earl, Curley, and Lagarde. I'll keep it brief. I just want to run through a few things, and I appreciate, number one, staff's presentation, but also appreciate the clarification that Katie made. That is a question that we worked through today just to make sure that was clear. So just want to give you a sense of what the zoning is. This is what's being requested. What Katie was referring to is phase 1, and has that final plat, and we're really moving forward on getting improvement plans approved and permits, and so that's something that we're actively working on getting online right away. And so we wanted to make sure that that wouldn't be affected, and so that's what you see there is phase 1. And therefore, because we have a final plat, that means that the lot lines, the roads, all of that is not changing, meaning that from the PAD to today, notwithstanding the zone change, the actual plotting and platting is remaining the same, and that's why we can proceed forward with that. Now, there may be some with the setbacks, provided that there's the enhancements that are done. Those types of things may be earned within the individual lots. And so that's why you see here on this exhibit, it's showing that the plat built into phase 1, and then the other ones we do have a design for those, just sort of showing the difference between those phases. We know that those will have to be reconfigured. So I want to give you a sense of kind of the comparison, right? So I think the real bottom line here is on the bottom of the slide there, from 471 to 471. So we are not increasing the density of the project. It's really just going and we're making tweaks inside. And we're doing that, and one of the main things is because we have court homes that you'll see on the one on the left, you'll see in that bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that set of court homes that was there. Court homes work really well in some areas. I was here in front of you maybe a year ago with a builder who actually does court homes and for whom I have done multiple court home projects. and was coming in to ask that the court homes be switched because of the market analysis that was done, that it wasn't something that would be viable at this kind of in this area or in the area that they were proposing, but it's similar here. So it's not that court homes are awful products, it's just that they have to be done in the right area to make sure that they're viable, that they can sell. Doesn't do us, the buyers, anybody any good to have properties that sit and go vacant and don't have anything happen on them. And then you'll see some of the other changes that are happening outside of it. I put the black line again to show phase one. As you can just see visually, they're the same. And those lot sizes stay the same. And even though the coloring may be different, you're seeing the same there. And then you'll see some changes over to the west. But again, all of the 471 remains the same. We just think that what we're doing is updating it to the market today. So this was originally approved in 2006. So here we are about 12 years later, and so as the market forces have changed and as buyers are wanting different things, millennials are becoming more of a larger segment of the market than they were 12 years ago, and they have different buying habits. People who are kind of in the retiring phase, those are also having different buying habits. So the nature of the market has slightly changed, and we're just making sure that we can respond, make sure that it's a viable community that will sell well and bring homes online, which brings rooftops that supports the infrastructure and the things that we want out in this area. Again, zooming in a little bit on this, just to give you a sense of comparison, so you can see the lot sizes. I'll let you kind of review through that. But one thing I wanted to note is that the minimum lot size of the court homes that existed in the PAD was 2,300 and change. And so you see that our smallest are the 5,000 and 6,000 square feet, and they are just in that area that had the existing court homes previously. Outside of that phase, the phase two, you're only getting that second from the bottom and up. So in other words, 6,000 and up is what you're seeing outside of that area. And I can tell you that we are not who I represent is not the end home builder. I do often represent home builders. In fact, I'm representing 2 home projects right now where they have lot sizes that are probably less than 5,000 square feet. Or maybe a little bit over that size, but under 55. But what the market is wanting is really nice homes, but a little bit less yard space to maintain, but they want really nice homes. So while we don't know exactly who's going to end up building through all of the phases, I can tell you that that's something that brings in nice homes, particularly when the community is done well, and that ordinance that you've set up to make sure that, hey, if you're going to have smaller lots, the community has to look nice and you've got to have enhancements. We think we'll make sure that that is done. Just an example of court homes that you're probably familiar with here. So wanted to compare the minimum standards of the zoning districts with what we're doing, and I connected the colors just to make the chart a little easier to read. So the blue goes with the blue and the orange goes with the orange. So the standard R16, if you look at the top line there, 5,500 square feet is the minimum, but our minimum is just under 8,500. And then the same for the R14, for 4,500 is the minimum. Our minimum is about 57. So we're going above, and you can see the comparisons that are done down the row. So we're either meeting or exceeding, with the exception of the side setbacks where we may, under the enhancements, be able to get a little reduction there. And I thought I'd just spend just a second on the road. Obviously, staff is very competent on this issue. I just wanted to kind of go a little bit to the question that was raised by Commissioner Barnes about the kind of present and future condition. This slide, what it's showing is where our construction will be done on the entire sort of from 183rd eastward to Citrus, and it's broke up into 2 sections. The reason it's broken up into 2 sections is because on the A section, that's where you have that subdivision that was being shown up in that area. To the east is where you have the county property under the B section. But that's the distinguishing characteristic of why the A and the B. And then if you look at both A and B, you'll see underneath where our actual improvements are being done, so they do not extend up into the county properties. And I think this is kind of a key thing. So if at the top is the ultimate condition of the roadway, where at full build out, this is what it would look like. Again, if and when the county property develops and it's sold and as part of coming in for their plat, they would make dedications. You would have in that ultimate condition, what I've circled at the top there, 2 12-foot lanes, 1 in each direction. You would have, in addition, the center turn lane and bike lanes. In its interim condition, as we construct it, it will still have 2 12-foot travel lanes. And so the only difference is that turn lane and the bike lanes and then the curb and gutter and sidewalk. So in its interim condition, it still has the same amount of capacity in terms of its left, right, through traffic. So, the question that I know Mr. West has is, well, is there some point where the city will come in and really want to get that done, and they won't wait for development, they'll just come in and condemn it and build it themselves? And I won't try to speak on city's behalf, but to me, it just seems unlikely, given that you already have in our condition the 2 lanes that would be the ultimate condition anyway. I don't think the city would come in to condemn land, build it just to add the turn lane, particularly the low levels that would be out in this area. So those are it. I'm happy to answer any questions, and to the extent that I'm unable to, I have members of my team who can back me up.
Any questions for the applicant at this time? None? Okay.
Thank you.
With that, we will move into the public hearing portion of it. Speakers from the public. Just a slight reminder, I only have 1 speaker card, so if you wish to speak at the commission level, just fill out a speaker's card. Heather has some right up here up front, so you can fill those out and turn them into her. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. When you address us, name and address for the record, please. And then you'll see there's a box that will be up on your left there, and you'll see the green, yellow, and red light. And the yellow lights means that you are 20 seconds away from your 3 minutes, and then the red light is the 3 minutes. So with that, I will call Art West to the podium at this time. And thank you for sticking with us. And
not a problem. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Art West. I live at 18012 West Durango in Goodyear, Arizona, 8500338. And I do live in the county section, which is north of the development that's going in. Our neighborhood community has been trying to work with the city of Goodyear and the developers of the PRADERA development since 2006, which back then it was Standard Pacific Homes. In our July 2006 meeting, our community submitted to the city of Goodyear a citizen's petition with 34 signatures on the petition, which I have a copy of that tonight. In our petition, we were trying to outline our concerns as to the impact of the PRADERA development will have on our existing community. The current design for Durango from Citrus to Perryville Road is 2 lanes wide, which is 30 foot. And that goes from Citrus to Lateral 8, which was the canal road. Then basically a 60-foot road from there on to Perryville, which I spoke about earlier. In the previous meeting on 3/21, we expressed this concern, and the city of Goodyear staff explained the current design of Durango would be built on the existing right-of-way of the PRADERA development, and we understand that. We do understand that completely. The current drawings show a design of Durango west of Citrus as a future 30-foot right-of-way, a proposed 30-foot right-of-way on the north side of the PRADERA property. This proposed future right-of-way would be on the Tenna and West properties. That's where that land would be coming from. When and if the city of Goodyear decides to purchase that right-of-way from the Tenna or the West families, the impact of the families would be significant. The north lane of the proposed right-of-way would be approximately 5 feet from the south wall of the Tenna's home, which is dangerous. The tenants have lived in this home since 1970. The west home would be approximately 15 feet from the northern edge of the proposed right-of-way. The west have lived in their home since 1980. In addition to several parcels of land that we have laid out in 1-acre parcels, which is minimum to build a house on, those would have to be redone. We'd have our water line feeding our facility. That would be out in the right-of-way. That would have to be redone. We'd have fences that have to be taken down quite a bit. It'd be significant if that happened. We've proposed several alternatives have been proposed to the development. They have a retention pond, which they showed earlier, which is like 7 rows of houses. They'd have to move down a little bit to get an extra few feet. 1 row in on their houses, they've got a 10 or 15 foot gravel area there that they could take it from, and also they could take it from the right off of Durango there. They're going to have an 8-foot sidewalk in there plus gravel and stuff. And I know my time's up. One of the things that I want to get before I'm up is our community feels the new development should fit into the existing community without there being a burden to the property owners affected by the development. And thank you for your time.
thank you, Mr. West. Gail Thompson.
Thank you for your time. My name is Gail Thompson. I live at 18012 West Durango, the property that is involved in this. And I speak more from an, excuse me, it's been a long day, more of an emotional quality of life issue. We've been involved in many different types of situations over the years where we live in an area and the city builds around us. And we know it's going to happen. We know that. All we're asking is that listen to our concerns. If the city of Goodyear is not going to make Durango a 4-lane road, then put it in writing that you're not taking it from our property, that you're not going to make that road go up within 5 feet of someone's family home, that they're leaving as their inheritance to their children. That's what we have our property for. It's for our children and for our grandchildren. I feel like at times that I felt like we've just been kind of laughed away. Oh yeah, people cut down a dirt road instead of going to a paved road. We've been out there. We have gone out there and just flagged people down. Slow down on that dirt road, because not only does it stir up dirt and dust, but it's dangerous for the kids that are playing out there. It's not a public road, it's a private road. And people do cut through there. We've watched it happen over and over throughout the years. So our quality of life is being truly affected by this subdivision, and we know it's going to happen. Progress happens, change happens, and there's really, unless we wanted to go out and buy the property, there's no way to stop it. But if the city and the zoning commission would at least hear our concerns, put it in writing. You're not going to take that 30-foot easement from our property, that we're not going to be affected, that our children aren't going to be affected down the road and have to pay for all of this, relocation of different things, out of their inheritance. This is their land. This is what we've worked for. And this is how we are being affected by the subdivision that's coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments from the public at this time? Mr. West? I'll allow you to say one more thing.
We have the drawing that shows the proposed right-of-way. In 2006, we were told that there will be a 4-lane road someday. We were told that they would also have a stoplight out there. So, the future, we need to plan for the future now is all we're trying to say. Plan for the future now. Don't put this in now and say, well, this is all it's going to be, and then come back and say, well, it's going to be different later on. And we can't get anything from anybody from the city saying they won't take it. They've already got it on drawings that it's proposed right away. And that's what we're after. We've been working with the developer, and we've got several things, other issues we're working out. But this is something that's really out of the developer's hands. So if you'd look at it, we'd sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West. Any other questions or comments regarding this for staff or the applicant at this time? Okay.
For staff, I get the feeling that there's not a clear understanding. What I'm hearing from staff is that this new road is not going to impede into the current homeowner's property, but the homeowners seem to feel like, yeah, it is going to impede into our area. So can staff clarify that for us?
Rebecca?
That makes sense.
Can we actually have the map pulled up so we can kind of have that in front of us? So any of the maps that kind of show the property, just so we kind of have a visual. At least I'm a visual person.
Jeff, can you bring up the staff PowerPoint, please? Will that work for you, or you want the original?
I don't.
Let's go.
The
Keep
one that
going.
the applicant had was a nice map.
Want something different?
So let me jump in here before, and I don't know if we can get, is Elmo working? I think I have.
That's on now.
Okay, so this is one section of the Durango Road that's in question that we're talking about. And I'm going to try to point here. The section line is the solid and then dash line. So that's the separation between the county piece and the city piece. And then you see 3.5 feet. I know that just because I know the section of where we've put the road. 3.5 feet south of the section line is where we start the paving for the new road. The road itself will be 24 feet wide. It's going to be the 12 feet in each direction. Then there's going to be an 8-foot sidewalk. All that's enclosed within the 30-foot right-of-way that this developer is dedicating.
And just to help us out here, that section line that's on that map now currently runs down the middle of the dirt road that is there on the north side of the ditch, correct?
Well, and the dirt road was formed by cars driving on it, so I don't want to say it's running right down the middle. I think that it fluctuates. It goes north and south. Some of it's on the PRADERA property. I would say most of it's on the PRADERA property today. And so, but some of it could be north. It doesn't run the section line because it wasn't constructed exactly on the section line.
But is it safe to say that everything will be north of the ditch that's currently there?
Yes, yes. And so back to the question at hand about what is this developer constructing? The obligation for an existing developer is to construct their half street in front of their parcel. That's exactly what they're doing. There are no plans for anything on the north side. As you go further to the west, there is a developer on the north side. Again, back to one of the exhibits that we had, and that development is Paseo Place. So they're doing their half street, as well as PRADERA doing their half street, which makes a whole street. So there's going to be 2 lanes, one in each direction with a turn lane, because you're going to have a development to the north and a development to the south. So what you're trying to do is facilitate those left turning movements. In this case, we're only building, the only requirement we have as the city is for them to build their half street, and that's what they're building. There's no desire, no need for anything to be built on the north of the section line.
Which all of this was already put in place in 2006.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there properties that are very close to that section line? That seemed to be a concern of residents. I understand so when we cross the section line, that's county property up there.
Correct.
And we're only building halfway through, but are there houses very close and fences and other improvements that are really close to that section line?
When you say the word very close, I think and it could be that the gentleman needs to come, or the lady that spoke, I think the inference was if the road would be built on the north side, then it would be very close to the road.
But we're not, we're building on the south side.
We're only building on the south side.
And just a yes or no from the citizens so that we understand this. Your concern is about future development because it would encroach on property and other infrastructure you may have.
We've been told, like I said in the 2006 meeting, by the fire chief, that he wanted a 4-lane road in there for city fire equipment in and out. Now, I understand what you're saying, and you guys are building on the south side. All I'm asking, and all we're asking, is it needs to be taken off the drawings, proposed future right-of-way, and we would like to have something in writing that hopefully would stand up that you guys won't. If we develop that property, that'd be one thing. If it's not developed, that you're not going to build it, come back and build it. Because we've all seen how cities grow and demographics change and how they come back later on and what change with it. The way it is now, I understand. There's also the future of what's happened in the last 12 years.
And I will say I do appreciate your concern. I understand, the infrastructure that exists there and homes and all of that. I just will make it clear that as far as the Planning and Zoning Commission, we're simply an advisory committee, and we have no authority to do any of that you're asking for. So that would have to go to the council. So our limitations today are basically at that boundary line and at the project line. And I do sincerely understand, and I want to make sure that, you know, we do have the gates and all of that in place, that your private property and people going through there is protected. But like I said, our decision tonight and our authority really stops right there at that line. And we don't have any authority to push forward policy that you're asking for. So just so that you understand. Any further questions for staff? Nope. I actually do have one question, because two things, and I was trying to look through here quickly. In the recommendations from the staff, I think that the gate is very important. Is that in the recommendation somewhere? Or pointed to?
I thought it was.
You're referring to the RID gate,
Yes.
Mr. Commissioner?
Is that in the, I did not,
It is not a stipulation of approval, as that is being worked out with the PRADERA development as they do their RID improvements. They are working in conjunction with RID on that.
okay. And what, and they're also working with RID on the drainage issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may chime in just 1 second. Certainly a valid concern, and I think we're all working toward that same conclusion. Just one item I'd like to highlight is RID is its own authority.
Correct.
And they, even through the city's best efforts or the developer's best efforts, could say, you know what, we don't want a gate here, and they could reject that proposal. So we're all working to have that gate there, but the ultimate decision is RID.
Absolutely, it's their property. I understand that. Okay.
One more comment for staff. Has there been any request of the residents to provide, it seems like you want something in writing. Has there been any request that you provide in writing what you believe would be accommodating in terms of what you're talking about? And staff, have you entertained anything from them in writing as to what kind of stipulation they want for future development? And is there any way that that kind of dialogue can take place? I'm looking to you for options.
Mr. Chairman, to answer the question, those decisions are made by the City Council. And so there's two elements. One is, as Rebecca and Karen had pointed out, half-street construction is an obligation of development. PRADERA is doing their part. There is no need or reason or want or desire for the north of that section line to be constructed. It's not in the city's CIP for the foreseeable, I mean, for as long as the CIP has vision, it's not in the CIP.
Is that a 5-year?
And 10 years.
10-year plan. Okay.
And so, but the only reason that we're reluctant to put a commitment in writing to Mr. West and the residents is that we, and respectfully, the Planning Commission, cannot hamstring a future council's decision. We feel that it is very unlikely that that would take place because that is not needed. As the applicant pointed out, there's still two roads or methods of traffic in each direction. So it's incredibly unlikely. But nonetheless, there is the opportunity that council could say, yes, this needs to happen, and we can't hamstring that in. That is a council level decision, but it is not in the CIP. It is not needed by current standards, and it's not going to take place with the PRADERA project.
Thank you for that explanation.
Any further questions at this time? Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Christopher, what is the timing on the RID and the gate discussions?
I'm going to defer to the applicant or Karen on that one.
Commissioner and Commissioners, my name is Kelly Hall. I'm with Philip Miller Consultants. what is it, 11201 North Tatum Boulevard, Phoenix. I represent the owner of the property, and we're managing the project on their behalf. As far as the RID issue goes, we met with them, I think, a week ago Friday, and everyone, the RID and Stantec, their designers, and ourselves have agreed to install 2 gates, one on Castillo and one on 181st. They will be owned by the district after they're constructed and accepted by the district, and they'll be maintained by the district. They will also have a lock, and they'll control the access, and they'll work with the neighbors to excuse me, to control that access, to provide them access when they need it, and so on. And so those 2 gates are on 2 different sets of plans, and it'll depend on who goes first. Paseo Place to the west of 181st, or ourselves. RID has a program where they only allow construction of their facilities during their dry-up. That's typically the last week in October, first week in November. So it's planned that the construction of those, the facilities relocation and the gates will go in this November, assuming everything else goes according to plan. They're also working on the redesign of the field drain pickup at the south, or at the northwest corner of Durango and Citrus, to extend that to Mr. West's property, such that it's not on the tenant's property, and it'll be clear and usable for the foreseeable future. And this is something that Mr. West asked for, and we're going to provide that for him. Hope that answers your question.
Does that cover all the drainage situation for that area?
No, there's a bunch of other tailwater delivery. I think it's 8A, 8 are the designations of those canal, those delivery systems, and it's it ranges from all the way up to, or I should say, north of Yuma, and down south through our property to connect south of Lower Buckeye, to provide for irrigation supply to the farm operations there, and for the tailwater that's still in existence in the system.
And the property owner, as you represent the property owner, you are working with RID to make sure all of that happens?
Yes, they, as Mr. Baker mentioned, that they're their own authority, and we have to work with their design engineer for relocation of all these facilities, and that's a process that's been ongoing since we started.
Very good. Any other questions? None? All right. With that, I will close the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion for approval of the PRADERA residential development.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept case number 17-200-00007.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Ms. Keys?
Nope.
Maloney. Sorry. That has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Maloney. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Before we vote, I just want to say thank you all for attending the hearing today. I think your concerns are valid. Unfortunately, we're limited a little bit in our authority of what we can do. I understand, and I hope that everyone continues to work together to find solutions, RID and private property owners and the developer, that satisfies everyone. So, and after this will go to City Council for final approval. So this is not your final stop, but do appreciate you spending time this evening and bringing your concerns forward, and they were heard. So with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, before the citizens leave, just for clarification and information, this is scheduled to go to the City Council at the May 14th meeting, which will take place in the same room at 6 o'clock. So if you choose and desire to attend, you're certainly more than welcome to come. And there'll be a public hearing, another public hearing, so you have an opportunity to address the council.
Thank all of you. With that, I will move on to staff communication, agenda number 9.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just a couple things, items to report to you. As you know, we did not meet last month. That's why the minutes were from Valentine's Day. And also, those two particular items that were on the agenda that night rolled to the city council meeting. If you remember, one was the rezoning of the Cotton Lane RV Park. The council did, in fact, rezone that from C2 to PAD to facilitate the extension of the RV park. On that February 26th council agenda was also the preliminary plat of the City Center Air Park. If you remember, that it just broke up into large chunks, if you will, or large parcels or lots, property around the airport, and that was also approved by the council. Just a couple of other items for you. As we talked before, we have been selected, staff has been selected to deliver a presentation to the American Planning Association National Conference about continuous improvement in the development services and engineering department. So we're going to speak for our friends in engineering and come up with new street standards.
Becca looks thrilled.
The last part was a joke, but the rest is true. So Katie and I are presenting on Saturday, April 21st. So we're looking forward to that. That is a annual conference. There's 8,000 people, typically, and roughly about 8,000 people in attendance. So we're looking forward to delivering some really good news. As you all know, we've been working on continuous improvement, as we've talked before. So we're excited about that opportunity. You want to say anything about that?
Just somewhat related is Commission had requested that staff provide a presentation on autonomous vehicles and how those may impact planning. And I just wanted to let you know, I was hoping to actually have that presentation tonight, but we saw there's actually going to be a lot of sessions at this conference on this topic. So we've been working on it and decided to hold off on it because we have an opportunity to learn even more, and so we can bring this knowledge back to all of you. So we anticipate now we'll be able to do that at May and also share stuff we learned with all of you.
In addition to the conference, the city welcomed this new city manager, Julie Arundel, at the end of February. So we're going to visit with her and maybe invite her to come just introduce herself to the Planning Commission if she's so inclined. Because obviously the things that you all do are very important in the city's goals and objectives and the desires and wills of the council, desire of the council. So, making sure we have good communication is important. So we'll invite her to a future meeting. Just an update on activity. We had the highest number of new single-family permits issued during the 3 years I've been here. In March, we issued 139 new single-family permits, which is really great. That's our third consecutive month over 100. So we're really excited about that. Development activity is picking up, welcoming new businesses and families to Goodyear, which is a good thing. We have about 3 million square feet of commercial and industrial space under construction throughout the city, which is equally exciting. New jobs, new capital investment, and new revenues for the city. So we're excited about that as well. Finally, or almost finally, the this is budget time for the city, so we're working, the council's been considering the budget. They haven't approved anything yet, and the tentative budget's coming up for adoption. During that process, the departments are asked to identify needs and things of that nature. So on behalf of the commission, we identified a couple of needs. One is some outside training. As you know, Katie and I have provided some training for you all in the work session formats, and we feel very confident doing that, but also bringing in some outside perspective is useful as well. And so we do have a line item in the upcoming budget to provide funding for planning commissioner training. So that's a good thing. Also in the budget is a line item for iPads for the commission. So we're totally migrating away from paper. You will not be getting paper. You will have a city iPad. You'll have to agree to it and all that, the security and and things of that nature. But we are migrating away from that, so you'll be able to keep your current agenda on there and all your old agendas, and you can type notes and all that type so forth. But it'll be a very useful streamlining tool. Poor Heather makes lots and lots and lots of copies, so this was really an effort to help bring us up to the modern age a little bit. Finally, the budget also does have a line item for a bicycle and pedestrian study. During this council's retreat, they identified a goal of adding additional shade to trails, streets, things of that nature through the community. And so in order to get a good benchmark of where these assets are, because frankly we don't have a great handle on that, we need to get a baseline, which is the study. So we're moving forward with that. That's also included in the budget. And hopefully all these things we feel confident will be approved. Obviously, it's council's decision. I'm not hemming them in. I'm not jumping the gun. But I just wanted you to be aware of these things moving forward. And then we're working on a couple of other two exciting things. As you remember, we updated the sign ordinance with the Reed decision. When that went to council, they asked us to make a couple of tweaks and reevaluate after a period of time, and Steve Creccia is doing that currently. We don't exactly have a deadline when that's coming back to you, but it should be pretty soon because he's relatively soon because he's been working on it. So that will be coming back to you, not as a wholesale change, just some very small adjustments to identify some issues. And then we're also working on the landscape ordinance. Steve is working on that as well. So that's a collaboration with our friends in engineering and public works and so forth in order to put all of our city's landscape standards in one area. So that will be coming forth to the Planning Commission as well, because we're anticipating that to be installed or inserted into the zoning ordinance, which comes through you. So that's kind of a long report, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the indulgence, and thank you.
Thank you. And Rebecca, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Walters?
I do. I thought, Karen, you did a great job with your presentations as always. I hope you don't mind a little feedback that it came across that you were laughing at the suggestion that cars would cut through that private canal road, and it seemed to offend the citizen. And I've never, in any of your presentations, heard you laugh at anybody's comments, but it came across that way, that you were laughing it off, and I think it's just something to maybe be mindful of, because we can sometimes come across in a way we didn't intend. So it's just a little constructive feedback.
Anything else?
No.
With that, thank you. Meeting adjourned.